Oh, buckle up because this one's juicier than a Thanksgiving turkey dipped in drama gravy. Imagine this. After decades of throwing lyrical grenades, throwing interviews, and throwing shade sharp enough to cut glass, 50 Cent and Benzino were this close to squashing their beef. Yes, the same two men who turned hip-hop feuds into Olympic events were allegedly ready to bury the hatchet, but guess who pulled the plug at the last second? None other than Slim Shady himself, Mr. Lose Yourself, aka Eminem, aka hip-hop's coldest chess player. According to Benzino, peace was on the table, until M flipped it over like he was auditioning for Bad Boys 4. And if you're wondering why this drama feels more explosive than the Power finale, that's because it is. What went down behind the scenes makes the Kardashians look like kindergartners arguing over crayons. We're talking loyalty, betrayal, ego, and enough shade to block the sun over Detroit, because apparently, the feud that started in the early 2000s could have ended in unity, but one decision from Eminem allegedly kept the fire burning forever. So grab your headphones, your popcorn, and your bulletproof vest. This is the secret truce that never made it past Marshall Mathers. Let's take it back to where it all began, before the leaked phone calls. Before the YouTube interviews, before the headlines screaming Eminem did WHAT. Because this isn't just a rap beef, this is one of hip-hop's most chaotic soap operas, starring 50 Cent, Benzino, and the man who somehow manages to stay calm while detonating nuclear-level drama, Eminem. Back in the early 2000s, when baggy jeans could double as parachutes and mixtapes were handed out like business cards, Benzino was sitting on top of the world, or at least sitting inside the source of it. Literally, as co-owner of the Source magazine, Benzino had a megaphone big enough to make or break rappers overnight. And guess who he didn't like? That bleached blonde, battle-hardened lyricist from Detroit, Eminem. Now here's where the plot thickens. Benzino accused Eminem of hijacking hip-hop, called him a culture vulture, and went on a press rampage that made Wendy Williams look reserved. Eminem, never one to take insults quietly, clapped back harder than a snare drum on a Dre beat. Diss tracks flew. The sauce, nail in the coffin, pull your skirt up. It was lyrical warfare, a one-man demolition job that left Benzino's reputation hanging by a thread. And right when everyone thought that beef was dead, 50 Cent entered the chat like a bouncer at the Club of Chaos. Remember, this was peak G-Unit era. 50 had just come off Get Rich or Die Tryin'. The man was bulletproof literally and figuratively. And Benzino? He made the fatal mistake of not just beefing with them, but tangling with his entire camp. You don't come for the general and expect the soldiers to sit quietly. Fast forward a couple decades through countless interviews, viral clips, and emotional outbursts, and suddenly, out of nowhere, Benzino decides he's found peace. Yep, peace. The man who once called Eminem a privileged tourist in hip-hop and said 50 Cent was manufactured street credibility now wanted to make up. It's like if Thanos suddenly said, "Let's talk it out with the Avengers," according to Benzino himself in a recent interview that blew up faster than a 50 Cent meme. He revealed that he and 50 were actually close to settling their differences. "We were cool," he said. "We had a real conversation, man to man. The energy was right." He claimed that the two even discussed doing something together. Fans were stunned. Imagine a world where 50 Cent and Benzino stood side by side, smiling for photos like old rivals turned business partners. Hip-hop history would have been rewritten overnight. But here's where things took a left turn, straight into plot twist territory. Benzino said that just when peace was finally possible, just when the decades of beef were about to turn into brotherhood, one name came up that stopped everything cold: Eminem. Soon as his name came up, Benzino said, everything changed. He didn't say how, he didn't say why, but he made one thing clear: the man in the middle of it all was Marshall Mathers. According to him, Eminem allegedly wasn't having it. No reconciliation, no forgiveness, no handshake. End of discussion. Now, the internet went crazy. Because, of course, it did. One clip of Benzino saying Eminem blocked it hit TikTok and immediately turned into a digital wildfire. Hip-hop blogs started posting like they were covering an alien landing. Benzino says Eminem stopped 50 Cent peace deal. Slim Shady still holding grudges in 2025. Twitter Spaces opened. YouTubers fired up live streams. Fans were split between Eminem's just loyal and he's petty for no reason. But if you know the history, if you really know how deep this feud goes, you'd understand why peace might have been too much to ask. Because Eminem isn't just friends with 50, he's his mentor. He's the man who signed him, stood by him, and helped build the empire that Benzino spent years trying to tear down. Back in the early days, Benzino didn't just diss Eminem, he dragged the entire Shady or Aftermath family, calling them industry puppets. It wasn't lyrical competition. It was personal. So when Benzino says he wanted to squash it, I might have seen that as too little too late. Still, Benzino swore he was being genuine. It wasn't about no clout, he said. It was about growth. I wanted to move forward. But some people ain't ready for that. Cue the internet's collective side-eye. Because if there's one thing fans love more than peace, it's drama pretending to be peace. As clips from the interview spread, you could feel the energy shift across social media. People started digging up old interviews where Benzino said the opposite. One user posted, "This man's been apologizing for the same beef for 20 years. Either he's sorry or he's promoting a mixtape." Meanwhile, 50 Cent being 50 Cent didn't stay silent for long. You could practically set your watch by it. The man lives to troll. A few hours after Benzino's peace comments hit the blogs, 50 posted a picture on Instagram of a peace sign with the caption, "Never that. No tags. No context. Just vintage 50 trolling with precision." Fans flooded the comments. "We know who that's for." Eminem called him right after this interview dropped. "The shade is immaculate. And if you think 50's trolling was cold, the memes made it sub-zero." One viral meme showed 50 shaking hands with Benzino while Eminem stood in the background photoshopped like Thanos, ready to snap. Another had a fake news headline reading, "Eminem ends world peace. Not on my watch." But beyond the jokes, there's a deeper layer because Benzino's claim hit a nerve that goes straight to the core of hip-hop's loyalty code. Can enemies really make peace when mutual friends are still holding grudges? In this case, the answer seems to be not if your mutual friend is Eminem. The way Benzino tells it, it was all about forgiveness and growth. The way the fans see it, it's about history that never healed. And the way 50 and M probably see it, it's about loyalty, and loyalty don't come with expiration dates. Because in hip-hop, beef isn't just about bars, it's about identity, pride, and public image. And when you've built your legacy on never backing down, making peace starts to look a lot like surrender. So maybe Benzino really did want to turn over a new leaf. Or maybe, just maybe, he saw an opportunity to make headlines again because let's be real. Benzino apologizes doesn't trend. But Eminem blocked my peace hits the algorithm like lightning. Either way, one thing's for sure. This so-called truce didn't die quietly. It died spectacularly. And the ripple effect? Oh, it was just beginning. When Benzino's clip hit the algorithm, the internet did what it always does, turned a minor spark into a full-blown inferno. Within hours, hip-hop Twitter was on live support. Spaces were popping off, Clubhouse was revived from the dead, and YouTube thumbnails were screaming Eminem blocked peace. In all caps, like someone just leaked the Pentagon's files. People started taking sides like it was the virtues of forgiveness. Half the internet said, "Let it go, Em. It's been 20 years." The other half said, "Nah, Benzino started this, you gotta live with it." And somewhere in the middle was 50 Cent, laughing in his diamond-encrusted kitchen, probably writing captions for his next troll post. See, this wasn't just old beef reheated, this was emotional leftovers from an entire generation of rap. Fans who grew up during the Eminem vs. The Source era were reliving their teenage trauma. Reddit threads were breaking down the timeline like courtroom evidence. One post read, Exhibit A, Benzino's diss tracks. Exhibit B, his Source magazine bias. Exhibit C, the audacity to call Eminem a guest in his own house. But here's where the plot twisted. Deeper than a 50 Cent TV show. Because while Benzino was painting himself as the mature one, the rest of hip-hop wasn't buying it. Charlemagne the God called it out on the Breakfast Club, saying, "Man, ain't no way Benzino thought he could make peace with one and not the other. That's like apologizing to Batman but leaving Robin in the alley." Blogs ate that line up like junk food. TikTok had sound bites of Charlemagne's laugh looping under dramatic captions like Eminem said, "Never forget." Meanwhile, Benzino doubled down. He went on another interview because of course he did and said, "Eminem still got issues, man. I tried to be real. I tried to show love. But some people can't handle honesty." Boom. That one sentence reignited the fire. Because saying Eminem can't handle honesty is like telling Michael Jordan he can't handle competition. You're just asking for smoke. Fans came swinging with receipts, old interviews, and clips of Eminem saying he doesn't even think about Benzino anymore. One viral tweet said, "How you lose a beef in 2003 and still trying to cash in on it in 2025. But Benzino knew exactly what he was doing. The man's a veteran at controversy. He's been the villain so long. He could teach a masterclass in how to trend without dropping a hit. Still, there was one thing nobody could ignore: Eminem's silence. Not a post, not a lyric, not a whisper. And that silence hit harder than any diss track. Because when Eminem doesn't say a word, the world starts screaming for him. Fans flooded his mentions, begging him to respond. Say something, Slim. Drop a bar. Tell us it's true." The tension was electric. Every time Eminem's name trended, the internet froze like, "Is this it? Is he gonna clap back?" But nope. Just silence, the kind that makes you think he's watching from the shadows, smiling like a Bond villain while the world burns. Then, out of nowhere, 50 Cent made it worse because of course he did. The man can't help himself. He hopped on Instagram with a meme of Benzino looking stressed, captioned, "When you realize peace ain't part of the G-Unit contract." It was vintage 50, petty, hilarious, and viral. Within an hour, it had over 1 million likes. Benzino saw it, of course, and fired back with a caption of his own. "Some people never grow up." Still playing internet gangster. Now, let's pause there because this is where things got weirdly meta. 50 and Benzino were literally arguing about peace while proving they still hated each other. It was like watching two boxers hug before swinging again. Hip-hop fans were living for it. One user tweeted, "Eminem didn't block the piece. These two just allergic to maturity." Another said, "If Eminem did block it, I don't blame him. Keep that man away from shady business, pun intended." And the memes? Next level. Someone photoshopped a fake breaking news headline reading, "Eminem denies peace deal, says he doesn't negotiate with mid." It spread faster than fact-checkers could breathe. But while the internet was cracking jokes, industry insiders started whispering that there might be some truth to Benzino's claim. According to a few unnamed sources, translation, probably a guy with an iPhone and free time. 50 and Benzino did have a private conversation months ago, reportedly set up by a mutual contact in the entertainment business. The talk was civil, even positive, until 50 allegedly mentioned bringing M into the loop. That's when communication stopped. Now, is that proof Eminem shut it down? No, but does it sound like something he'd do? Maybe. Because if there's one thing everyone knows about Eminem, he never lets betrayal slide. This is the same man who kept dissing Ja Rule 15 years after the fact. The same guy who dropped Kill Shot just to remind MGK what fear feels like. Forgiveness might be in the dictionary, but it's not in Slim's playlist.by at this point. Everyone from Joe Budden to DJ Academics was dissecting the drama like it was breaking news from the White House. Eminem's loyalty, petty or powerful, became the question of the week. Even Nopere jumped on Drink Champ saying, "Eminem probably said, 50, don't do it." That man disrespected the family, and honestly, it fits. Because Eminem isn't just loyal, he's calculated. Every move, every silence, every word has intent. And if he really did block that piece, it wasn't emotional, it was strategic. In his world, once you cross the line, you stay on the other side of it. Benzino, meanwhile, kept doing interviews, clearly enjoying his new viral streak. But the more he talked, the more fans rolled their eyes. Every new claim sounded less like healing and more like marketing. He said, I got nothing against him, but he gotta stop acting like a god. The internet responded instantly. Bro, you made him one when you lost a beef 20 years ago. The funniest part, Eminem didn't have to lift a finger. The man literally sat back, said nothing, and still came out looking like the puppet master. Because whether he blocked the piece or not, everyone started believing he could. That's the kind of control only a legend has when silence becomes power. By now, the conversation wasn't even about reconciliation anymore. It had evolved into a full-blown morality debate. Was Eminem being loyal or petty? Was Benzino trying to make peace or resurrect relevance? And was 50 Cent really caught in the middle? Or was he just enjoying the chaos like a pyromaniac with popcorn? No one had answers, but everyone had opinions. And if you thought that was the end of it, oh no, the storm was just getting started. Because the fallout from Benzino's confession didn't just rattle hip-hop fans, it reached people you'd never expect. Old rivals started weighing in. Industry veterans started reminiscing. Even Eminem's own fans began questioning whether their hero was too stubborn for his own good. This wasn't just gossip anymore, it had turned into a cultural moment. A test of time, loyalty, and legacy. And somewhere in Detroit, a certain rap god was probably watching it all unfold, sipping black coffee, and thinking, exactly how I planned it. By the time the dust settled, the internet was split clean down the middle. You had one side chanting, Eminem's the realist, loyalty over everything, and the other shouting, he's holding hip-hop hostage with his grudges. It was chaos, beautiful, algorithm-friendly chaos, the kind that turns casual fans into online warriors and old beefs into breaking news. But this wasn't just another week in rap drama. This felt like a cultural reset, a reminder of just how deep the roots of loyalty, pride, and pettiness run in hip-hop. Because while Benzino was out here preaching forgiveness like a reformed villain in a Marvel movie, Eminem was somewhere in Detroit, maintaining the kind of silence that feels louder than a diss track. And let's be honest, in a world where everyone talks, Eminem's silence hits like a gunshot. Fans started treating it like art. M doesn't respond. One tweet said, he calculates, another wrote, that man's silence is the sound of dominance. Meanwhile, Benzino wasn't letting go. He doubled down in an emotional live stream, claiming he was just trying to make peace for the culture. He said, I reached out. I tried to fix things, but you'll see how people really move. They don't want peace, they want control. His eyes welled up, his voice cracked, and boom, instantly. That clip went viral. Half the comments called him a legend for trying to grow. The other half called him a retired villain doing PR for a sequel nobody asked for. And then 50 Cent, because of course it had to be 50, posted again. This time, it was a screenshot of a fake text that read, Eminem said don't answer that call. His caption, loyalty costs nothing but makes you rich. The comment section was pure chaos. One fan wrote, 50 trolling from the heavens again. Another said, this man treats beef like cardio, he needs it to survive. By now, every major outlet had picked up the story. Rolling Stone, XXL, TMZ, they were all running with the headline. Benzino says Eminem blocked his piece with 50 Cent, but each version twisted the tone. One article made Benzino sound like a victim, another like a manipulator, and another like a man chasing clout with a stopwatch. The memes reached a new level of savagery. Someone photoshopped Eminem sitting on a chessboard, moving 50 like a pawn while Benzino yelled in the background, I just wanted to talk. Another showed Benzino holding a peace sign while M and 50 signed it, return to sender. But behind all the comedy, a deeper conversation started bubbling. Was this really about old beef? Or was it about hip-hop's inability to forgive? Think about it. Hip-hop was built on rivalries, Cars vs. Shan, JVS, Nas, Pac vs. Biggie, and each feud left scars that never really healed. Every generation says, we're different, we're more mature, but give it enough time, and it's back to diss tracks and deleted tweets. In a weird way, Benzino's failed peace attempt exposed something bigger than him, 50, or even Eminem. It exposed the culture's addiction to conflict. Fans don't just watch beef, they feed on it. They thrive on the chaos, the tension, the possibility that one bar could end a career. Peace doesn't sell. Petty does, and no one knows that better than 50 Cent and Eminem. Those two built empires off of keeping receipts and never letting enemies breathe. 50 turned beef into business, made shows, built brands, and stayed relevant by staying ruthless. Eminem turned grudges into Grammy nominations. Together, they're like the Avengers of Vengeance. So maybe Benzino never stood a chance. Maybe peace was never part of the equation. Because in their world, forgiveness isn't strength, it's surrender. Still, fans couldn't stop speculating. Was Eminem really that cold? Or was he just protecting his legacy? Did he shut it down himself? Or did 50 exaggerate the story to stir the pot? Nobody had proof, but everyone had theories. One wild post claimed, Eminem doesn't want Benzino's name attached to his brand ever again, not even in forgiveness. Another said, he's protecting 50. Benzino's been a snake before. And honestly, those theories made sense. Because M's history with Benzino isn't your typical rap rivalry, it was deep, personal, and borderline cultural. Benzino didn't just question Eminem's talent. He questioned his place in hip-hop. He called him an industry plant, a white savior, and a fake gangster. Those aren't just insults, those are wounds that scar. So if you're Eminem, and the man who once tried to destroy your credibility comes knocking 20 years later talking about growth, you're probably not reaching for olive branches. You're reaching for boundaries. As for Benzino, he kept trying to rewrite his side of history. He posted old photos of himself with hip-hop legends, writing captions like, "I've always been for the culture." He said he wanted unity, but every post just invited more reminders of how messy things got back then. Then in a twist no one saw coming, Benzino's daughter, Coyle, subtly addressed it during an interview. When asked about her dad's feud, she smiled and said, "I love my pops, but sometimes the past gotta stay where it's at." Boom! That one line hit harder than any diss track. The internet instantly crowned her the voice of reason. Her comment went viral too, sparking a new wave of memes like, "Coyle just brokered more peace than her dad ever could," and that's when it hit everyone. This wasn't just about three men and a grudge. This was about legacy. Eminem's legacy as a gatekeeper of loyalty. 50 Cent's legacy as hip-hop's ultimate instigator. Benzino's legacy as the man who couldn't escape his own past. By the end of the week, the hype had finally started to cool off. Benzino stopped posting. 50 moved on to trolling Diddy again. Eminem remained a ghost, the kind of ghost that doesn't haunt you with screams, but with silence. And fans, they were still debating like it was religion. Was Benzino genuine or manipulative? Was Eminem protecting loyalty or punishing growth? Could 50 ever stop turning beef into stand-up comedy? One thing was for sure, peace might have been on the table, but drama pays the bills. And as long as there's an audience, the show never ends. Because in hip-hop, grudges age like wine, and this one, it's a vintage bottle that still gets uncorked every few years for the culture to sip on. So maybe Benzino's dream of peace wasn't blocked by Eminem's ego. Maybe it was blocked by something bigger, the simple truth that in this business, peace doesn't trend. And there you have it, the peace treaty that never stood a chance. 50 Cent and Benzino were inches away from shaking hands, and then Eminem allegedly stepped in like the final boss in a loyalty video game. One move from Slim, and the whole thing collapsed faster than Ja Rule's comeback tour. But here's the part nobody wants to admit: this wasn't just a feud. It was a test of power. In hip-hop, forgiveness is rare, and loyalty is currency. 50 chose the man who built him over the man who once tried to bury him, and Benzino, he learned that some bridges don't burn, they explode. Still, the internet can't let it go. Half the fans screaming "M's petty" are the same ones replaying "Nail in the Coffin" like it dropped yesterday. The other half's posting memes of 50 laughing in bulletproof suits. And Benzino? He's probably working on another exclusive tell-all right now because the man never met a microphone he didn't like. But that's why we're here. Because this isn't just news, it's hip-hop history on repeat. Same drama, new receipts, same players, bigger egos. And trust me, this story's not done if Eminem breathes near a microphone. The next headline writes itself. So hit that like button like you're pressing play on a diss track. Drop your wildest theory in the comments. Did Em really block peace? Or is Benzino just chasing relevance? And don't forget to subscribe, because here at Fame Flaws, we don't chase clout, we drag it into the light, break it down, and make it go viral. Stay sharp, stay messy, and remember, in hip-hop, grudges never die. They just get remixed.